Okay. Oh man, dude, it's a crazy winter wonderland out here right now.
Oh,
You
man.
wouldn't fucking believe it. I can barely get out of my own driveway.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
Oh, well,
Jabalt.
Jabalt, well.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, very cute. Wow.
She was just sleeping. She's a little upset because I woke her up, I think.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I got a GPS collar for her.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's good.
Because let me tell you a quick story. Freaking I had so Jabalt is her name. I originally my first hairless cat was named Tybalt. I named her after
Oh, yeah.
Shane Gillis's cat. Which
Mm.
he has a cat that was named that who is now dead. And I actually so a little bit about me. So I have I'm a structural engineer,
Mm.
and I worked as that for a little while, and I got a pocket of money, and I did some other things as well. Well, I actually do you play cards? Do you like playing like cards or anything of any type?
Yeah, I like poker. I used to love blackjack when I was younger and things like that, but I
Yeah,
like poker the most, I'd say.
I'm a big poker player, and
Nice.
so I bought some houses,
Hmm.
and so I basically rent, and they're near a university. That was my strategy. Like I came
Hmm.
up with this plan when I was like 20. The math worked out, so I fucking went for it. So like it's crazy, man. Like my original investment would probably be, if I had to put numbers on it, my original investment was probably 28K, and I've been able to grow that 28K into more than $1 million. Like it's been
Fantastic.
absolutely insane. But I basically run a series of fraternity houses in a sense, because like how I'm sure how in Canada we don't have that. We don't have organized university housing. They basically build fucking expensive, ridiculous million
Mm.
dollar buildings. They
Yeah.
charge kids like $2,000 a month to stay on campus and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
that's what we do in Canada, right? I don't know
Yeah.
like more so where you are, but that's what they do here
Oh,
anyway.
it's about the same. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no sanctioned like fraternity or off-campus living at U of S.
Hmm.
So I basically do that, and so I have university students that live in my houses, and that's what I do. And so sorry, the point of the story here, that was just all backstory, is there is sometimes a huge downside to it. It's mostly very good and everything, but sometimes you run into a bad egg. And
Mm.
I had a guy who stole my cat. Yep.
Wild. Whoa.
Yep. So I had a guy, a tenant or whatever, a member of one of the houses, and he lived in the house that I live in, and stole my cat. Basically, it was time for him to move out. He was moving out, and he took the cat. I haven't seen the cat again since. And at the time, I had a GPS collar for it, but the cat wasn't wearing it or something
Oh, he
like
could have
that.
taken off anyway, kind of
Exactly.
thing. Yep.
Exactly right.
Wow.
So yeah,
Oh
dude,
man, that's horrible.
I had a heist, a cat heist happen to me. I tell you, like, have you ever
Wow.
seen the movie John Wick?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
tell you, dude, I felt like going John Wick on this guy, but
Oh
like
man,
it's crazy how it feels when something like that happens. But there's just nothing that you can do legally that won't end up landing you in a worse place than what you would be in.
sure, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's brutal. Oh my
Yeah, dude,
god, wow.
real brutal. It puts everything to shame. Like I've had people who get addicted to drugs and stuff in the house, and you got to carry him to the hospital. And but
Mm,
this dwarfed all that by a millionfold. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened in my renting career.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's oh man, that's
pretty
horrible.
rough.
Oh, I
Pretty
can
rough.
only imagine. Yikes.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
what's interesting. It's interesting because everybody's always like, I can't afford to buy a house. I can't afford to buy a house. But, you
mm,
know, if it's as simple as, hey, have two people live in your basement, because this is not to the extent that I do it, because I do it as like a full thing but like if you were to just, I do think that people can still afford houses. I'm one of the crazy people who think that the housing market is not broken. Do you think that that makes me dumb?
I don't know. Like I don't. I'm not really familiar with how well priced things are out in Saskatoon, kind of thing. Like it doesn't seem achievable for just about anybody out here. Like even the more well-off folks still have trouble getting started with houses and things like that. And usually when they do, they tend to have help from parents and things like that, where they'll
Yeah.
pay the full down payment and then pay
Yeah.
for a couple months at least
But
to
you can
get
always
started.
downgrade to smaller towns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, my point is that like if you can have a basement suite, I mean, a mortgage is $1,200 a month. If you can have a basement suite that makes that, then what are we talking about here? That houses are unaffordable. I mean, I think that we can say that it's fair to think that a homeowner would be responsible enough that they could have a job and then manage two people living in their basement at the same time. I don't think that's too much to ask of your average homeowner, you know?
And especially with Airbnb and stuff, these days, like there's a lot more money in that sometimes,
Exactly.
depending on your
Yeah, and
location. Yeah.
actually Airbnb just got fucked. Have you kind of heard about what happened with the whole micro hotel stuff and how the new
No.
laws with that? It's the renting market has been better than ever, just the long-term renting market that I'm in because that those short-term guys all just got fucked.
Oh
They
well.
they made a bunch of new rules to do with they're calling them micro hotels like Airbnb style short-term stuff where they charge a lot more money and yada yada.
Hmm.
uh, they made a bunch of new regulations and tax regulations and things that has a bunch of them closing down. So it's
Mm.
kind of crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, because like on Salt Spring, that's a huge issue.
Oh, I bet.
Um,
I bet, man.
like
Airbnb would be huge over there.
yeah, well, that's the thing is like it's got a population probably at around last time I checked it's probably around 12,000 people, but like in the summertime it more than doubles because people have so many
Yeah,
cabins and stuff there, but people just like to go there as tourists and things like that too. And there's a huge economy there for tourism.
for sure.
But at the same time, like people who work at the hospital, like they can't find an apartment to live in because there's no apartment buildings really. Like
Yeah.
it's very
Well,
limited in what they can
I
build
do
there
think
and
you
things
kind of
like
got
that.
to go Hunger Games on it a little bit and just look at it like, am I qualified for that district? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, go a little lower, move to Alberta. Go live
Yeah.
in fucking yeah. So,
Oh man, you mentioned Revelstoke earlier, and I when I was younger, I always wanted to move to Canmore. I remember doing
oh
a ski
yeah,
trip once, and I'm like, I love
yeah.
this town. This is
Yeah,
nice.
I'm planning to get a place in Revelstoke, and I'd like to maybe open some sort of a hostel out there or something like that.
Oh, that's a
There's
good
also
idea.
this hotel that already exists. It's called the Old Frontier
Mm,
in Revelstoke, and I think I could get it for a good deal. I've been thinking about doing something like
mm,
that. Hey, we didn't
cool.
get into this too much on the main podcast, but now that we're behind the paywall on the Patreon and we
Sure.
have our massive resounding one member, we can talk about this. So, what do you do like for your life outside of art stuff? How do you make your money?
I'm in a software, so like I was for a couple of years I was doing technical writing, so like writing software instruction manuals and stuff and maintaining help
Whoa,
centers and things like that. So
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and more recently in the last 2.5 years or so, I've been doing marketing, so a lot more kind of marketing oriented copywriting and things like that, like a lot of blog articles and social media stuff and things like that. So yeah, it's good. That's the thing is like I actually kind of stopped my creative writing for a couple of years just because I was writing a lot anyway in
Yeah,
my day to day job, which is kind of nice and stuff. But it also gave me an excuse not to write because like, oh, I'm writing so much
yeah,
anyway. But I was like, that's the thing is like I was still kind of flexing those muscles and working those muscles in a sense, just in a lot more different kind of format and less creative, more just how to use a certain thing for
yeah,
Shopify.
yeah. You got to pay the bills. Hey, it's hard though
Oh yeah, yeah.
because we all want to be purists, like where we just do our thing. I see you have a tub of Lego. Is that a tub of Lego behind you?
Oh man, yeah. There's a quickie mart up there too.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got a pretty sweet background going on there.
Yeah, I used to be really huge into Lego when I was younger, and
Yeah.
uh, we had a big tub of Lego that was at my parents' place, and I have a little brother who's younger brother, I should say. He's much taller than me, but he's about 13 years younger. So like once he got to a certain age where he wasn't playing with Lego, and I'm like, hey, can I have the Lego back? And so I got it all back. I organized it all into color and different containers and things like that. So
Give the
it's
Lego
something I
to
do
your
every.
older little brother. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's funny. I have a little brother. Well, I shouldn't say he's my little brother. He's much taller than me. I think you
Yeah.
might have just stumbled on a bit there. That's a good one, dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not bad.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So, yeah, you got to pay the bills. So, you're making a living, you're surviving, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what, like, have you ever thought about moving from Victoria?
Yeah, definitely. There was actually like a little while ago where we were thinking about, my wife and I were thinking about just doing Airbnbs in like Europe for a little while, just because my work's all online, so we can do it as long as it's within a somewhat of an overlap of time zones and things like that. And had some colleagues who were working from like the UK and stuff, and So we were thinking about something like that. We just never got it together, kind of thing. And but we're on a good trajectory now, and like we'd like to move. I'd say in the next little while. Like Victoria is nice, but it's also just like it's it's
Out of
it's
hand,
not
man.
exciting.
It's getting out of
But,
hand. It's crazy expensive.
oh man,
And I mean, you guys, you live on top of a volcano. This is part of the reason why people there are so afraid of global warming and shit. You guys
yeah,
literally live on top of volcanoes, right
yeah,
on a
the fault
fault line,
lines and stuff.
and
Yeah,
you guys
totally.
are fucked if if
Yeah.
anything goes awry. You guys are
Yeah.
all fucked. So
Oh yeah, we're like long overdue for a huge earthquake
I
too. Like
know, I
the
know. You guys are in the most dangerous place possible for volcanoes, as far as
yeah,
I got in my volcano study and few classes that I took. So
totally. Yeah.
yeah, you
But
guys are
yeah, no, we
fun.
actually very recently we talked about moving to Canmore or something like that. Like uh we'd like to change things up. We'd like a little bit of distance, but like especially for my in-laws are all in town and stuff too here. Then they're
Ooh,
good people. But like I just
wonderful people.
they're
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I couldn't say nice enough things about
No, you
my
can't.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we'd like a bit of distance too in that sense. But also like that's hard because we also want to be closer to friends. But a lot of my friends have moved away. Like one of my good friends moved to Toronto recently. One's up in Prince George, which is like North BC kind of thing. So
All still
a
very
lot of
expensive places. Yeah.
yeah, and I'd also love to be in a place where there's more stand up going on as well too. Like Victoria
Oh
has
yeah.
a scene going, but it's also very like infrequent. Like there's maybe like one or two open mics now, which is great. That's plenty, but it's also like I'd I'd love to be in a place like of course like Austin comes to mind, but like where there's just like multiple you could go to each night. Like that would be incredible. That would just accelerate things so nicely, and you'd be able to hone your craft. Because if it's like a week in between each performance, you're just going to get rusty throughout the week
Yeah.
kind of thing. So like I'd love to be somewhere where there's a bit of a scene kind of thing, but at the same time I don't want to live in New York and I don't want to
Exactly.
live
I think that this is the way to do it. Did I lose you? You still there? Hold on. We're frozen. I'm not sure if you can see me. I can't.
yeah.
Oh, we're back.
There we go. Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah.
We froze for a second there. Yeah, you were just talking about how, yeah, we were talking about whether it's best to live at a place that's close to the
Mm,
scene or not, and this and that. And yeah, dude,
yeah.
I feel like nowadays it's like you got to do a satellite type thing where it's like you live in a certain place, you get your home base, and then you go out there and do other things like that. And
Mm,
also, there's nothing ever stopping you from doing this, putting in the real groundwork, which is what we're doing right now. I think so. There's nothing stopping you from doing this, right? And eyes get on this no matter what. And one day you'll be
yeah.
50, you'll be 60. You're either going to have $500,000 or you're going to have $4 million, and it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, this content that you make is what's going to stick there, just like your writing, just like your so on and
Totally.
so forth. And do you want it to be authentic, good stuff like what happens here? Do you want it to be recited stuff like stand up? It is what it is, man. We're writing our own legacy right now, you know? So
Hmm.
sorry, I went on that monologue
Yeah,
also,
totally.
just so you
Well,
know, because your side right now is because I'm screen recording, and right now for some reason, your side is a bit blurry right now on your camera. I'm sure it's just catching up.
weird.
But so basically, I'll just talk right now
Yeah.
because you're blurry.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when do you think you'll
It's
get
like
on
one of those
stage next?
anonymous people in documentaries where the voice has changed.
Yeah. So when do you think you'll get on stage next?
That's a good question. I um I'd like to do it within the early next year, I'd say. Like, it's funny because like I haven't been doing it for a while, but it's like again going back to our earlier conversation about dreams is like I've done open mics in my dreams just as much as I've done open mics. There's so many.
Please go subscribe to our YouTube page, Canadian Talk with Stephan podcast. We need you down there. Also, we have a website, Stephanjackson.ca, where you'll find the audio versions. As well, you can email us if you got a question or anything you want to see us talk about. CanadianTalkWithStephan@gmail.com.
Times where I'm
Oh,
in a dream and I'll suddenly have to do a set and like I'll do it
yeah,
and it's like and I'll wake up I'm like oh that felt like I did it and it's like well
yeah.
that's good like that's
Oh,
my brain automatically doing it kind of thing so
yeah,
like
dude.
and
You
I'm
just
thinking
gave me
about
a
it and I'm writing all
flashback
the time too so like
for sure.
oh yeah
Yeah, you just gave me a
yeah
flashback to a dream that I had where I was at this. I had a stadium show, and like, dude, I have, oh my God, I
mm,
have lucid dreams, so vivid dreams at least, of so often of me doing stand up where I'm not prepared or I forget everything right before I'm going up. And it's like I had one
Yeah,
like
exactly.
2 months ago where I was in this stadium and I had to take this ladder down to the back of the stage from the very top of the. For some reason, I was on the roof of the fucking stadium and I had to take a ladder down into the back to
Mm.
go out. And I was just freaking out. And I woke up right as I was climbing down the ladder, thank God. But oh my God.
Oh man.
I was in the, before I went up there
Yeah.
to climb down the ladder, I was sitting in the crowd. And this is something you should never do, right? Just I was sitting in the crowd and like I was looking to my left and my right and I was seeing all my friends from elementary school, people that like, and just fucking panicking. I don't know, man. I sometimes have full
Oh man.
fledged panic attacks. Have you ever had a panic attack?
Oh. Yeah, no, there's a little while there, like in the year leading up to my wedding, I was having full on panic attacks, especially on buses and things like that.
Oh,
There was just times where I'd like, I remember taking a bus from the ferry into Vancouver, and it was a bus that like doesn't stop for a while, like it's on the highway, and it
yeah.
was just packed full of people, and I'm like, oh, I have to have diarrhea right now, kind of thing, and I'm like, well, what do I do? Like, there's not like, and I remember just panicking and stuff. And ever since then, well, not ever since then, for a little while after that, I was just having panic attacks when I'd be on a bus because it's like, okay, in between stops, you'd feel like, start like thinking, oh, is my stomach okay, kind of thing. And I never had an accident or anything like that, thankfully. But at the same time, just the fear of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, yeah.
Hey, have you had panic attacks like
A
in
little bit. Yeah,
real
I'm
life and
just
not
trying to
just
hold
dreams? Or,
myself back from telling you about my
yeah.
stories about pooping myself. Yeah, I hadn't done that in a long time. I
Yeah.
was on, dude. I was winning too. I had never lost it either until like, but in my older age, now that I'm in my 30s, I have lost it a few times. Just let a little turd
Mm.
nugget out onto. It's like, oh shit. Uh
Yeah, yeah, don't trust a fart kind of thing. Yeah, totally. Like I find that like even listening to different comedians, it's amazing how much it comes up with comedians in particular too, where they're like, "Yeah, last week I shit myself." It's like,
yeah. Well,
"Oh,
the
okay,
key
that's great.
for
I
sure.
I thought it was the end of the world."
Yeah, the key. Well, I think that
Yeah.
it's fun. It's all fun and games to talk about jerking off and poop and stuff like that. And that's but it really is. You do have to temper it because like you can't talk about it all the time,
Mm.
or it loses its power.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
like I found that with like a I remember seeing a comic and he was just talking about his condition where he had to have diarrhea all the time and he wasn't really presenting it in a way that was like that funny. It was just like, "Oh man, that sucks. Like
Yeah.
this
It's like
doesn't
you're just
sound
treating
good."
it
Like
kind of
it
like
wasn't
it's
like
your therapy session. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
You get that a lot too at open mics too. Where
Oh, I bet.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, dude, yeah,
yeah,
there's even less people where I am than where you are. Yeah. The open mics are disgusting. Yeah.
hmm
It's like a therapy session. Hey, real
oh
quick,
man,
I'm just going to re-video call you back to see if I can fix this blurriness. Okay. So
oh sure, sounds
I'll
good.
hang
Yeah,
up and then I'm going to call you back.
there we go.
There we go. That's how we fix it. She's fixed. Beauty.
Nice.
Yes. You can hear me okay? Everything's good?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Perfect. Dude, I like your display picture on Instagram where you have that red curtain behind you. It looks like you're on the Joe Rogan experience or something. Where did you make that? Like with a program or how did you get
No,
that to do that?
that was actually just a candid shot that somebody did when I was at a wedding, and they had a curtain at the venue like that. It was actually like standing up, like I was one of the groomsmen, and we were doing the rehearsal dinner. And that's my friend snapped that picture of it of
Yeah.
me, and yeah,
Oh man, weddings. How
yeah,
many, dude? Weddings are very fun. Hey, how many weddings do you think you've been to in the past? Let's say 4 years.
yeah. Well, probably about 4 or 5, I would say. Like a lot of my friends have gotten
Yeah,
married
me
in the
too.
last couple of years, and I've been like in the groom's party a lot of the time too, which is
Yeah,
like it's fun, but it's also like
dude,
and it's an
it's
honor, of course, all the nice things, but it's also like there's a lot of things you have to do, and
I
it's like
know.
you can't just enjoy the wedding and things like. And I've been an MC at two of them and stuff too,
Oh,
like at
very
my brother's
cool.
wedding, and just yeah, like actually in September we went to this our good friends who live on the island here. They got married and they had probably the best wedding I've ever been to. It was just a blast. Like yeah, I did the MC stuff. It was also like Lord of the Rings themed. Like people didn't dress
Whoa,
up, but like it was like just like they had like a whole bar for weed, like where you could roll your own stuff. They had pre
holy
rolls.
shit.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was on a farm on Salt Spring, and it was I just had a blast. Like I just drank and smoked so many cigarettes
Yeah,
and things like that, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
that's
Uh,
amazing. I just went to a wedding in Banff at the Fairmont there. My buddy was having a
oh,
wedding there,
nice.
and he had a
Oh yeah,
he had a it would do it amazing. That thing is what a castle that thing is. He had a
yeah.
cigar bar, and so we
Oh,
were
cool.
smoking cohibas, and yeah, it was a
Nice.
good time. Yeah,
Yeah,
got
but
lost in
lots of
that
weddings. Yeah.
castle. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, that, well, yeah, no, touch on that as well too. I remember seeing a job posting for that resort, and I'm like, oh, I could move there. It was something to do with like you could live there too, like, and
Yeah,
like they pay for your board and stuff. And it's like, but I think something to do with pets. I think that wasn't able to make it work, kind of thing. But I'm like, oh, that'd
yeah.
be cool.
It would
Um,
be cool, but it would also feel a lot like you were just like in a slave encampment a little bit.
yeah, like a cruise ship or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh.
I don't know
Yeah,
about that, dude. I'm pretty
yeah,
picky about jobs because I do think that like that inspiration that we were talking about earlier, I do think that it's possible to stamp it out. If you
mm,
if you put yourself in too shitty a situations for too long, you
yeah.
can lose the light.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and that's kind of what I encountered. I think much earlier in the year, or a bit of the end of last year. I really felt that, like, I just felt kind of crushed by a lot of stuff, and yeah, I wasn't doing anything creative, and I was like, oh man, I'm not doing anything creative. I really wish I could get back to that, and like even the writing, like I could write for my job and stuff, but I'm like, I'm not a good writer anymore. I've lost that sort of thing. Like
Oh,
I'll just never get back to it. And then I had two things where like my mom asked me to write a news article for this program she manages, and so I did that for her just as like a favor, and that worked out really well. And then my grandfather passed away, and I wrote a speech for his celebration of life, and people really liked it and things like that. So I'm like, oh
oh,
shit, I can do this. It's like it's not something you really lose. It's just something you kind
well,
of have to maintain and like
yeah.
put the focus in, kind of thing. So it was
Funerals
kind of reinvent.
are crazy. Hey, it's like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of love them and hate them at the same time. Like,
Hmm.
so you wrote a speech for a funeral once
Yeah, yeah. It was I
for
um
Grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. It was with my brother and stuff too. Yeah, it was really
Oh,
nice. It was,
that's wild,
yeah,
dude.
worked out really
I
well.
think funerals are crazy. It's crazy. Like, you just go and look at a dead body, and it's like, holy fuck. And there's all
Yeah.
these sad people around. It's so
Hmm.
sad. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funerals are just
They're
crazy.
totally. Yeah. Then like it's important to see the body and stuff too, but it's also
It's
very
like still a fun
shocking.
day. Like, you get out of your
Yeah.
house, you're like, okay, there's grandma, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know, man. Celebrations are fun no matter what, even when it's a
Mm.
funeral. That's what's so crazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Lots of thankfully a lot more weddings than funerals in the last little while, which is nice. And yeah, like my brother got married last year, and
How many
my
siblings do
good
you
friend.
have? I was going to interject before.
Yeah. I have an older brother who's 3 years older, and he's a lawyer in Vancouver. And I have a younger brother who's an arborist on Salt Spring. He's about 13 years younger. So a
Oh yeah.
half brother for
Okay,
my
so the
stepfather.
lawyer thing is coming to full circle here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
You must have
I
even
have
more of a
look.
middle part.
Yeah, yeah.
I am
Did
a
you ever watch
lawyer.
the? Did you ever watch that show Better Call Saul with
Yeah,
Bob
yeah,
Odenkirk?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when I was watching that, like because my brother is very like he could be possessive about things, and like if I do
So
something
can
better
every
than him,
lawyer.
being the
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and if I like do something better than him, he gets really defensive of it, kind of thing. And I was when I watched Better Call Saul, I'm like, oh, I should become a lawyer just to like stick it to him, kind of thing. And I'm like, oh
Oh,
yeah, just become a lawyer. That's easy. Yeah, great.
he started chirping. Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, you got to read all the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've known my fair share of lawyers. It's
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh, just
dude.
property stuff, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're the hitman of politicians. Just nasty
Yeah.
little fuckers. Uh, the legal system is crazy, man. I talk
Yeah.
extensively about this, but it's very mostly very negative, so we don't have to get
Hmm.
into it. But I don't know. Have you ever been in a court case? Have you ever had anything happen litigiously in your life at all?
No, closest I've had has been invited to do jury duty, but that
Yeah,
never
keep
came
it that
about. It
way. Keep it that
canceled. Yeah,
way.
no, thankfully. Yeah, knock on
Yeah,
wood, that's for
just treat
sure.
it like it's like a Mormon cult. Just like you just have to know that it exists and just stay away from it. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my
Like,
god, yeah.
oh, it's horrible. Yeah, it's but we need it though. That's what's so crazy is at the same time where the things it takes to function and the people that are involved in it are so gross, but
Mm.
we do need it. So
Yeah.
it's
Totally. Well, like going back to the Cosby and Conor McGregor stuff too, like
yeah,
it's interesting how sometimes something can throw out an entire case where it's a certain way.
yeah,
But it's like, well, but that's the thing. It's not a perfect system, but it works. It's the best we got, unfortunately, kind of thing. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Hey, it's the best we got, and yeah. Oh, because
Yeah.
we're
Just
all
supposed
people
to.
at the end of the day, and we all make mistakes. So it's like where it's hard to draw the line of where the perfect line for where justice is. So
Totally. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it can be used like that's what I found like with Donald Trump as well, too. Like I found that the left took it too far with a lot of the lawfare that they were pushing against him. Where
Yeah,
like
maybe.
he's a felony kind of, he has felonies, but they're like he didn't
Yeah.
he didn't list his was the pay that he did to Stormy Daniels in the proper way to do with his campaign. Like it's like this
Yeah,
is such a weird thing. It's like
for
I'm
sure.
sure he's done really bad things, but like you're going
Yeah,
after him for this, like
no doubt.
yeah,
And then at what
it's
point do you in your mind balance the scales a little bit where it's like,
yeah,
hey, also he's like, I'll be president, the most
yeah,
dangerous thing in the entire fucking world. Hey, you're inviting 50% of your country to hate you. Like
mm,
at a certain point you got to give him a little credit for that. And
yeah,
so yeah, dude, it's crazy with what happened with the legal system with him. It makes the whole damn thing feel silly, like a big old
mm,
sham,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
gosh. And yeah, crazy man.
Yeah.
But
I just watched a great movie the other day that was a. Have you ever seen it called 12 Angry Men?
no, I
It's
haven't
got
seen
a
that one.
it's got a Henry Fonda in it, or Henry Fonda? Yeah, always mix up him and Peter Fonda, but um, it was from the 50s, I think, or early 60s at least. But it was like about a murder trial for this kid who was like 18, and he apparently killed his father, and like it's about the jury kind of figuring out the verdict, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, he's guilty," it's cut and dry kind of thing. And there's one guy who's like, "I don't know, it's not that clear. We can't trust this sort of evidence." And it's about him just trying to. It's kind of like truth versus consensus. Like they're all like, "Oh no, it's fine. Like let's just we all agree this is what it has." And he's like, "No, we can't trust this point here. We should investigate it more." And it's about him kind of slowly turning other people to see it
Yeah,
from his perspective and things like that. And it was
yeah,
really good. So you see that a lot these days where people are just like sticking to their guns. Like I find that with even like COVID stuff where they're like, no, this is what it was. And it'll always be this. Like we have new information now. It's not
yeah,
that simple. And you should
for
probably
sure.
change how you see things based on what we know now. And they're like, no,
Yeah,
sticking to this,
for
just
sure,
digging
for
their heels in.
sure. Well, it's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, you said so many good things there. I'll see if I can even try to touch on some of them. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a jury, right? It's crazy when you put numbers to it, where it's like, okay, this one person's life is now worth 10 of your guys' opinions in your free
Yeah.
time. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like juries are so crazy and fallible, and it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess that's the best we can do. It's like fucking
Totally.
crazy. And then to do with COVID, yeah, it's like you
Yeah.
have these people making decisions who are the definition of conflict of interest. Like what happened with COVID is so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It was just the medical people just being like wanting more and more adoration. It's like you're already so overpaid. You're already have the best work environments that are possible, perfectly hygienic and beautiful. Yeah, I guess sure you have to wipe people's butts or whatever if that's if that's your job. I'm not saying it's not a hard job. I'm just saying that your guys' licensing uh, institutions and things are more powerful than any other people's groups. Whether it be construction workers who are insanely underpaid and others and so on and so forth. It's like, can you just stop already? I hate how much they were promoting themselves and promoting really a catastrophe type of thinking towards pandemics or whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
rather than being like, let's get the mathematicians in front of the cameras. Let's have the people up there who can truly speak from an unbiased perspective, no money involved. How serious are these things that are going on? And because there is no doubt, and I'm going to put forward my opinion here, and this is not yours. You don't have to agree with this. Like there is no person who would have, if you put a mathematician in front of that camera when stuff was going down 6 months into it, so nothing crazy has happened yet. The whole world hasn't turned, and that because 4 to 6 months would have been a fair amount of time to shut shit down. If you would have put a guy in front of the camera that and given enough trust to him, who really knows the numbers, he would have said, "Okay, old people are dying, and other than that, we're kind of all right. Let's kind of start to go back to normal." But they just didn't do that. It continued for
Yeah.
year after year after year until and when we're looking at numbers, dude, because I'm a math guy, and when we're looking at numbers, and you've kind of thrown me into a COVID thing here. I try to avoid
No,
this
no, I
topic,
don't
but
mind it.
it's
Yeah,
like
fair enough.
it's like, dude, when you're talking 1% or lower, come on. And you can debate the numbers, you can debate this or that, and long term effects, and this or that. But the reality is, if we want to be pragmatic purely about what we're talking about here, marijuana became legal. It became destigmatized. So it's clear that the wide general public was engaging in respiratory damaging substances more often. So if we're going to see a respiratory flu, of course it's going to be kind of bad. That's what they should have had somebody saying, and saying, "Hey, stop smoking, go out for a walk, everybody go back to normal." But instead, we created gangs, and we're like, "Okay, the people who wear the fucking masks are on this side, you guys are on this side, and you're retarded." It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Things got so divisive that way. Like I remember that was like it was when the vaccine passports came out, and my wife and I went to a comedy show here in town, and I remember uh, one of the comics going up and saying like, "Well, I guess it's just all vaccinated people here, so don't you kind of hope that the other side they just die?"
Yeah, I've
And I'm
heard
like,
that bit too.
"Oh
Yep.
man!" Like it's just like it shocked me. Like at the time, I'm just like, "Oh shit, what are we doing here? Like what's happened? Like this is
Yeah,
so insane to just
no doubt.
wish death upon people and stuff." Like it was people like you're saying too. Like it's with fear. Like they really pushed the fear into people, and it wasn't
Yeah,
justified, and it wasn't fair,
yeah,
and it made people react in crazy ways. Because that's the thing is, if you want people to do what you want them to do, you can just make them afraid and terrified of everything.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, for sure, man.
yeah. But yeah, no,
Wild.
it's even like it's been it's almost 5 years, almost like it'll be 5 years in the new year since COVID, really, and like people are still so divided on things like that. Like I find there's
Mhm.
a lot of friends where I can't
People
have
losing
open
friends
conversations.
over it, things like that.
Yeah.
But
Oh
you know,
man.
dude,
Yeah.
if it's going to be the thing where we talk about it as if it was kind of our war we had to suffer through, we're still doing
Yeah.
pretty good, you know. Like at least we're
Yeah.
not living in one of those times where they were like, "Oh, hey, we all went." What was that? What was the Gulf of Tonkin thing where they like? There's wars that have happened where the people that were sent over there completely on false pretenses, and you could
Mm.
even say that some people say that about the Afghanistan war too. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, so we are doing a lot better than that in terms
Sure. Yeah.
of crazy shit that happens because of kind of abuse of power and people kind of lying. You know what I'm saying? So we're still
Mhm.
doing fine, I guess, but
Yeah,
still though,
exactly. Especially
wild.
just casualties alone. Yeah, we had thankfully COVID didn't kill as many people as they said it was going to kill, and
Well,
like
we just
like
have the reality is we have a bunch of kind of happier old people because they're smoking their weed and they're doing this and that, and then the ones who aren't walking, they were dropping dead for a little while, a little sooner than they should have, maybe a little
yeah,
sooner than they should have, you know. But
yeah,
goddamn, fuck the
yeah. There's
cold.
a lot of like musicians.
Oh, we got a freeze again here. I'm not sure if you can still hear or see me. We had a little freezy poo.
Oh, yeah. Can
Oh,
you?
and we are back. All right.
We have back?
Yep, we're back. We're back. And we're
Yeah, it was
blurry
just.
again. Dang it.
Oh no,
Hey, all right. Well, dude, let's just do this. So, what we'll do is we'll call that a day for the Patreon
sounds
episode.
good. Yeah,
Thank you, everybody who subscribes to the Patreon. This is Steve Dawson. You can find him. He's a writer of short stories. He's a funny guy all around, comedian. So, yeah, please go find his social media, subscribe to anything you can find with him. And thanks for tuning into the Patreon. Tell your friends. And yeah, that's the episode. All right, bye.